to Exploring Port St. Lucie. We're exploring the motormen of Port St. Lucie, the motor units, and with me right now is Officer Gerry Harrington, who does the off-road enforcement for the unit. Welcome, Gerry, to Exploring Port St. Lucie.
Thank you for having me.
Your duties in the unit, your off-road, talk about that. You have a couple bikes that aren't Harleys right off the bat. Tell us about the bikes and what your unit's doing.
Yeah, one of the extra duties we have is the off-road enforcement. South Florida Water Management went ahead and donated 2 Yamaha 250 Enduro motorcycles. They're an on-road, off-road dirt bike motorcycle. And what we do is we go the behind the scenes of Port St. Lucie. We go along the canals. We go in the areas that police cars can't get to. So we're looking at city enforcement or city ordinance violations, abandoned vehicles, wildlife violations, any violations that the typical officer really isn't going to have the capability of enforcing.
So is it divided east of the turnpike, west of the turnpike, or as needed, or when the complaints come in, or you just do routine patrols? And I've never seen you, so I'm not in the canals or in the kind of inner bowels of the city, so to speak.
Yeah, not too many people do see us. Like I said, we're in the back side of Port St. Lucie. We're in the fields, the woods, the canals. We're kind of out of sight, out of mind. People will see us when we're going at traffic lights and we get those heads turning towards us and they're looking, it doesn't look like a Harley motorcycle, and they're kind of surprised to see that. But it is a duty that we do as the complaints come in. We also try to do routine maintenance on certain areas. We make sure that the canals that are maintained by South Florida Water Management stay nice, stay the way they're designed to be, and that people aren't bringing off-road vehicles where they don't belong.
I think you shared with me there's been some circumstances where a lot of these people are like the pillowcase burglars, or a lot of these burglars that are in the neighborhoods, they usually run for the canals or the waterways.
Yes,
to try to get away, and that's where you're accessible to? We
sure do. That we use the canals and the waterways that are inaccessible, and of course the criminals are going to use those areas too, because they know that the police officers, unless they're on foot, such as a canine unit that's tracking them, they're not going to be able to get back to them. So we utilize those dirt bikes to get in those back areas, and we can track them and effectively get into areas quickly enough, start setting perimeters, and really locking down a crime scene.
Well, I tell you, that's something that I didn't know about until I got talking with you guys, and you shared it with me. And again, it's a great tool to fight crime, and again, it's prevents people from tearing up the environment. So
absolutely, there's a lot more to Port St. Lucie than people know. I mean, there's a lot of farmland, orchards, groves. There's a beautiful side of Port St. Lucie that isn't necessarily developed, that's like US 1 or 95. Gorgeous open land, and what we'll do is make sure that those areas stay that way.
So you guys are protecting the citizens and protecting the environment all at once.
Absolutely.
And the dirt bikes are lightly equipped with like a radio, and they're not geared out like the rest of the other bikes?
They actually have lights on them, so we're able to stop vehicles if we need to.
Wow.
The radios are the ones that are on our duty belts. We'll maintain that with us at all times. But it's your typical dirt bike, but like I said, the only thing they have different is it says police all over it, so there's no missing the fact it's a police officer, and that it has lights on it.
Getting back to your regular ride on the Harleys, what do you have? The radio, you have a bunch of gear in there. What do you have?
Sure, we have a radio, we have a SETCOM system where so we can keep 2 hands on the steering wheel. We can push with our thumb to activate our radios, so we can talk to dispatch or other officers. Radar units, they're forward-facing and rear-facing, so no matter what direction the vehicle's approaching or traveling away from us, we're able to obtain those speeds.
Pretty good. And I think you and a bunch of the officers share with me that you want to be on the bike, you don't like the patrol cars. Are you one of those that you've ridden the patrol car before, but you're kind of totally free on the bike?
Those of us that are on the motorcycles absolutely love it, but I'll be honest with you, in those hot dog days of summer, being in the AC doesn't hurt any.
It doesn't hurt any. Listen, I thank you for being with us today. And one more question on the bikes. A couple of you shared with me that the law enforcement agencies are going to a different bike besides the Harley. You guys are going, or agencies are going to the Victory motorcycle. Can you talk a little bit about that? You explained that the bike's superior in some ways to the Harley,
sure,
which kind of surprised me.
Traditionally, a lot of motorcycle units used a Harley. It's been tradition since the early 1900s. However, there are developments in technology that enable other companies that outperform the Harley. So it's a lot of preference, but there's Victory, there's Honda, there's all kinds of different motorcycles. We are currently looking at the Victory. We're doing our research on that now, and hopefully soon we'll be replacing some of these growing older bikes.
Yeah, I understand the maintenance program on the Victory is a lot better than the Harley, and I guess you guys have had a few problems with the Harleys recently.
Yeah, the Harleys, they're 2007 Harleys. They have some mileage on them. They get ridden hard. It's a lot of stop and go traffic daily. So they're worn out. So it's time to retire those and start looking for a new bike.
One more quick question. Have you had any close calls on the road? I hope not, but have you had where somebody hasn't seen you and You had to maneuver the bike or almost dump it?
You put in enough miles, sooner or later, just like everyone who drives around Port St. Lucie, you're going to have a close call. And we've had quite a few close calls where people aren't paying attention, they're on their cell phones, and they pull out in front of you, or they at the last minute decide they want to stop and go shopping and hit the brakes real quick, which is why our training is so important to be able to maneuver these bikes. And not just like everyone does every day and drive in a straight line, but we need to really maneuver these things hard for what we do.
Yeah, I think you told me one maneuver you guys have is you actually learn how to lay the bike down and use it as cover in case somebody's shooting at you or returning fire.
Yeah, our training officer, Scott Johnson, that provides all our training for us. He's one of our instructors. And not only along with the skid pad and learning how to maneuver the motorcycle, but how to provide some sort of fire behind that in case we're being shot at. So we'll utilize that motorcycle for cover.
Listen, Officer Harrington, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all the information. And we're putting Scott Johnson up next, and he'll tell us about the training. How does that sound?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with segment 3 of Exploring Port St. Lucie with the motor unit and the training officer, Scott Johnson.